Welcome to Canadian Football League Weekly, presented by the World of Football. Each week, we recap the games played up north in the CFL, and we also look ahead to next week's games. Our mission here is to educate American football fans on the teams and players in the CFL in the hopes that you will come to love this league as much as we do. There, see, I got it out this time. I'm your host, Randy Snow, and I'm joined by my son, Adam.
Hi there, everybody. Dad, that's a hideous shirt you're wearing. I think I know the reason why you're wearing that shirt. We'll get to it in a second. But hi, everybody. Y'all gotta have to teach me about the watermelon thing. That's something I need to learn about. But yeah. Other than that, man, CFL, I understand you completely, except for watermelons, apparently.
I can explain that to you in a little bit. So,
Oh, sweet. See, I'm learning too, guys. This is a learning experience for all of us. Unless you're Canadian, then you already know.
I learned about it just earlier today, so I'm an expert now.
Perfect time. Hey, if that's not the American way, I don't know what is. It's a Canadian show, huh?
Yeah. We're doing a Canadian show the American way. All right, let's get into...
If that ain't a slogan, it needs to be.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what we can come up with. Let's start with scores from Week 7 in the CFL, and it all kicked off on Thursday with the Montreal Alouettes defeating my beloved Toronto Argonauts 26-25. The score was tied 3-3 at the end of the first quarter, and Toronto led 18-7 at halftime. Toronto took a commanding 25-7 lead in the third quarter with an 18-point lead. But the Argos were shut out in the fourth quarter, allowing Montreal to mount a comeback, which they did, scoring 19 unanswered points for a 26-25 lead with a minute and 46 seconds left to play in the game. But the Montreal defense kept Toronto's offense in check in the closing minutes and preserved the 1-point win. As much as I hate to say it, these were the best highlights of the week, especially in the last 3 minutes of the game. That was an incredible last 3 minutes. And to my friend Tim, who was at the game, rooting for his Toronto Argonauts, I texted him a couple times during the game, and he's when we were up
fan.
big.
You misspoke. He's an Alouettes fan. You're the Toronto fan.
Oh, sorry. How do you want me to fix this?
You can't. We've gone too far.
Okay. All right. He lives in Montreal. He was there supporting his Alouettes, and I texted him when we had a big lead. And I think the quote that he texted me back was "blah blah blah," and so here I am today, wearing the Alouette shirt to show him that I am not a sore loser. I'm just a loser. So let's go on to some of the stats from this game.
Well, hold on. Now, can I get a couple things in? Look, when you started like, I'm in this group chat too, by the way. I don't know if you know that. I know. Talking smack. I'm like, no, don't do this. Don't do this, Randy. Then I saw the score. I was like, oh, okay, well, maybe it was justified. Then they lost, and it's all your fault. I blame you for this epic Toronto meltdown. This was unbelievable. How do you have a 3-possession lead and you give it up to the Alouettes? They were dead in the water there for a minute, but then for whatever reason, they just started clicking. Toronto couldn't do nothing, and they pulled back into it. I think the biggest swing for me was at the end of the third quarter because it was 25-7. They let them score that touchdown right before the end of the third quarter. I feel like if they could have just held on maybe long enough to get into the fourth quarter with that lead, it could have been maybe a different story. But I mean, Toronto had their shot during that 19-point run. They knocked the ball out at the goal line, get the ball back, just to fumble it back to the other team. Pathetic.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Montreal. You didn't win the game. Toronto lost this game. But at the end of the day, you won, so it's fine.
Yeah.
It is what it is. The Argos are not the Argos of last year, clearly.
Well, to say the least, Toronto being shut out in the fourth quarter, that did not help at all. If they scored anything in the fourth quarter, they probably would have won the game, but no, they couldn't do it.
We talk about this across all levels of football. You cannot go a single quarter without scoring points. Like, it never helps.
Yeah.
Or at least most of the time it never helps.
All right, let's look at the stats from this game. Montreal quarterback Davis Alexander was 26 of 39 passing for 303 yards. He threw a touchdown, and he also threw an interception. He also ran for 23 yards and had a rushing touchdown. Wide receiver Cole Speaker had 9 catches for 129 yards and a touchdown. For Toronto, quarterback Nick Arbuckle was 28 of 40 passing for 242 yards. He threw 2 touchdown passes and an interception. Wide receiver Kevin Mittal had 10 catches for 77 yards. The stats. This is one of the few times that the winning quarterback had more passing yards than the losing quarterback. That seems to be a trend in the CFL. But credit to Montreal for sticking with their game plan and never giving up in this game.
No, and quarterback Davis Alexander coming back to the lineup after missing a couple of games with that injury. There were times I thought he looked pretty sharp. He looked pretty on point, especially there at the end in clutch time. It was clear that the experience of Davis Alexander as opposed to that of Arbuckle came into play there at the end of the game. That and the Montreal defense making plays when they needed to as well. But I don't know. They to outscore a team 19-7.5 also is a big deal. So
yeah.
Tip of the cap. Well, I can't grab the front of my hat, but tip of the cap to the Alouettes. Look, they definitely deserve to win. Even though I said that the Argos lost it, and they did.
Yeah.
Clearly, the better team won. They've been a pretty good team all year. So Toronto still got some stuff to figure out. You cannot blow a lead like that. It's unacceptable.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next game. On Friday night, it was the Calgary Stampeders over the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, 41-20. Calgary led 7-6 at the end of the first quarter. Winnipeg quarterback Zach Calaro was injured early in the second quarter and replaced by Chris Streveler. Calgary led 17-13 at halftime. They also led 24-13 at the end of the third quarter. In the fourth quarter, Calgary defensive back Damon Webb returned an interception 15 yards for a touchdown, his second pick six of the season, by the way, giving Calgary a 38-13 lead as the Stampeders cruised to a 40-20 win. This was all Calgary the whole night.
I don't know about the whole night. There were definitely spots where it was back and forth. I thought for 3 quarters, and then just it clearly the Blue Bombers without Caleros just I don't know. They didn't have it. A few big mistakes led to some Stampeders points, and they just blew the doors off that. And even the last 30 seconds of the game or whatnot, the Blue Bombers got that last score in there. Otherwise, the score that final score is definitely not indicative of how this game actually went. But I thought it was a lot closer game for most of this. Then it got out of hand.
Yeah.
You hate to see Caleros going down like that too.
Yeah.
I don't know if I haven't heard a timetable or what the deal is, but
no.
You hope he comes back, because I think as much as Streveler looked good, I think it was the first game of the year. Streveler looked awesome, but I don't know if he's a long-term solution or not. We're about to find out.
Yeah. Looking at some stats from this game, Calgary quarterback Vernon Adams Jr. was 16 of 24 passing for 267 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. Running back Dedrick Mills ran the ball 13 times for 70 yards, and rookie wide receiver Damian Alford had 2 catches for 79 yards and 2 touchdowns. How about that stat? 2 catches, 2 touchdowns for a rookie wide receiver.
There were so many great catches in this game too. Like, dudes were just great hands in this one.
Yep. For Winnipeg, quarterback Zach Calaros was 8 of 11 passing for 151 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions. Backup quarterback Chris Streveler was 16 of 25 passing for 136 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions. Streveler also ran the ball 29 yards. Running back Brady Oliveira ran the ball 15 times for 68 yards, and wide receiver Nick Dembski had 7 catches for 146 yards and a touchdown. Kicker Sergio Castillo kicked 2 field goals, his longest from 58 yards. That's a good night for a kicker, but Calgary was just too much for these guys.
Yeah, I don't know what else to add to it other than that Calgary defense coming through pretty nicely for this Calgary team. 5 turnovers total in the game,
right,
for Calgary. Like, to capitalize on is insane. Winnipeg just uncharacteristically sloppy, no matter who was under center. But I would not have guessed that this was the Calgary team we're going to get this year. After being as bad as they were the last few. So kudos to them for kind of flipping the script. And now 2-0 against Winnipeg this season. And both those wins against Winnipeg, funny enough, both by 21 points.
Yeah. Yep.
Should have been more in this one, but they let them get that last touchdown there at the end of the game.
Yeah. Yeah. So Calgary is looking pretty good in the West this year, and we'll talk about the standings here in a minute. But right now, I want to talk about our weekly audio podcast that Adam and I also do, called This Week in the World of Football. This coming week, we are going to be recording episode number 403. And next month, about the middle of August, we're going to have our 8th anniversary show. Yeah, we've been doing an audio podcast for 8 years now. And
Man,
it's been fun sometimes. It's been a chore other times. And
where are we at right now? Is it a chore right now?
Depends on what mood you're in when we hit record. So yeah,
this is also true. What kind of stories we got this week? Anything big?
Oh boy, I don't remember.
Man, you're not prepared. This is like the second or third show in a row you've not been prepared for just telling me what we got on tap tomorrow. I need some preparation, sir.
Well, I know there's a documentary coming out about Bill Belichick, and that's supposed to be coming out. There's another documentary coming out about the University of Alabama, about Alabama football. So there's a couple of documentaries. The one about Alabama is only coming out in theaters. The other one is, I forget what streaming service it's going to be on. But yeah, to have a documentary about Alabama coming to movie theaters, that's a pretty big deal, I think.
That's very interesting. All right, well, I'll take that for now. I'm sure we'll have that and much more tomorrow on This Week in the World of Football. Check that out wherever good podcasts can be found.
All right. Moving on to the Saturday game in the CFL, it was the Saskatchewan Roughriders over the BC Lions 33-27. Saskatchewan led 17-8 at the end of the first quarter and 23-11 at halftime. It was 33-19 Saskatchewan after the third quarter. BC scored a touchdown and a 2-point conversion with 19 seconds remaining in the game to make the score 33-27, but the ensuing onside kick was recovered by Saskatchewan, who ran out the clock for the win. To me, these were the second best highlights of the week. This had an exciting ending and a lot of great plays in this game.
Definitely a lot of great plays in here against Saskatchewan's defense. Looking pretty good. They got some pressure on Rourke. I know it wasn't until later in the game they finally got a sack on him, I want to say. But Trevor Harris, what more can we say about him? He threw for 400 yards last week. Almost did it again this week. That's something you don't see every week in the CFL. Is back-to-back weeks of nearly throwing for 400 yards. So he's been on point. He's been a great presence for this Rough Riders team. And how about AJ Ouellette? Running the ball 15 times for 70 yards. He looked awesome. Dante Myers had 7 catches for 132 yards and 2 touchdowns. Kicker Brett Lothar for the Rough Riders was 4 for 4 on field goals, as long as from 45 yards. Pretty good. On the other side of the ball, you had Nathan Rourke, 27 of 41 for 337 yards. He threw 3 touchdowns and an interception. He also threw a couple of nice bombs, I believe, during the game. So he had a couple of great big plays there. He also ran for 13 yards. Wide receiver Aiden Eberhardt. Eberhardt had 6 catches for 105 yards, 2 touchdowns. There was a guy, I want to say it was for Saskatchewan, that you did not put his stats down for. I heard his name all night long. Was it Robicelli?
I know he had a big game last week for Saskatchewan.
I just feel like when I was watching that game, I just heard his name so much. Like every other stick and play, I just felt like I'd look up and be like, man, they said his name again. Even my fiance was like, that's an interesting last name. So let me just look up real quick and see if I can find Joe Robistelli. He had only 1 catch for 29 yards during the game, but I felt like he was targeted quite a bit. I feel like he probably did have a bigger game last week, but I just felt like watching this one. I was like, man, I keep hearing his name. So I think he's targeted 3 times. I just felt like all game long I heard his name. But look, Saskatchewan's been one of my favorite teams to watch this year. That defense has been great, and if it weren't for that last touchdown by BC towards the end of the game, I mean, score's not even close.
Yeah.
So I think it's interesting with Nathan Rourke as good as we think he is, the job's not getting done. Even with him at quarterback, as good as he's been. And I don't want to do the Trey Ford comparison where is it time to maybe start looking elsewhere? Nothing against Rourke. I think he's a fine quarterback, but clearly, I mean, results haven't been there. And it's I wonder if that's a discussion that needs to be had up there. Because I know not everybody's high on Nathan Rourke.
Well, I think they just need to build a better team around Nathan Rourke. He probably doesn't have the protection or the receivers that he kind of needs. He could use some upgrades there, and the same with Edmonton and Trey Ford. A better team around these guys would make them look a lot better, and that's just my opinion. Now, this game with BC, this was played at BC Place in Vancouver, which we were there for the Grey Cup game in November.
Great venue,
and they had the roof open.
And I was jealous of that.
And I'm like, I was so jealous because we're there in November. Of course, the roof is closed and all that, but it looked so cool having that roof open and having the sun shining on part of the field. I'd love to go back and see a game sometime early in the season when the roof is open. I think that would be pretty cool to see that.
Yeah, so one of these days when we do our big World of Football CFL tour, Randy, when we, can make that kind of money, pack our bags, and just hit every stadium in a month.
Yeah. And this was known as the third annual Watermelon Smash game in BC.
Oh.
Whenever, well, I don't know if it's every time Saskatchewan comes to town, but for 3 years in a row, they've been holding this event. And it's kind of a charity event. Fans got to smash watermelons that were deemed unfit to be sold in stores. And they got to, make a donation, and they let them smash a pumpkin or two, or watermelon or two. And the money all went to the Surrey Food Bank and the Purolator Tackle Hunger charity. So, you pay some money to charity, and you get to smash a watermelon. And watermelons are associated with Saskatchewan. You see some of their fans hollowing out a watermelon and wearing it as a helmet sometimes. And we saw that in Toronto several years ago, and it was the first time we'd ever seen it. We thought, what is going on with these guys? But that's a thing in Saskatchewan. So these smashed pumpkins did not go to waste. They were donated to several local pig farms because I guess pigs love watermelon. So it's not just wasting food or whatever. Money went to a good cause, and people had some fun, and pigs got fed because of it.
And maybe we need to start a charity drive here where every time Randy calls a watermelon a pumpkin, we donate $1 to charity.
We'd go broke in a week. All right, let's move on to the final game. On Sunday, it was the Hamilton Tiger Cats over the Ottawa Red Blacks, 30-15. Hamilton was up 10-0 at the end of the first quarter, and they had a slim lead, 13-12 at halftime. Hamilton still led 20-12 at the end of the third quarter and just kind of cruised to a win after that. It wasn't in jeopardy very much. I mean, you could just tell that Hamilton was the better game or the better team.
Yeah, I mean, the final score 30-15. So, Hamilton, yeah, like you said, was pretty much in control. I believe it was all field goals anyway for Ottawa.
Yeah, in the first half, yeah.
Well, yeah, even in the second half, they didn't get nothing. It was all field goals. They couldn't punch it in the end zone. That's a big problem. Drew Brown started the game, but he did suffer an injury in the second quarter and was replaced by Dustin Crum, who went 16-22 for 149 yards, and he threw an interception during the game. He also ran the ball for 43 yards. Running back Daniel Ababoy, is that how you pronounce the last name?
Ababoy,
Randy. Carried the ball 4 times for 54 yards, and wide receiver Khalil Pimpleton from Central Michigan University, right here in Michigan, had 5 catches for 56 yards, and kicker Lewis Ward was 5 for 5 on field goals. He's the MVP for the Red Blacks. Lewis Ward there. On Hamilton's side, Bo Levi Mitchell, 21 of 33 for 327 yards, a touchdown and an interception. Running back Johnny Augustine ran the ball 18 times for 85 yards, and wide receiver Tim White had 8 catches for 89 yards, while kicker Mark Leggio continued his hot streak of consecutive field goals. He went 3 for 3 during the game, and now has kicked 30 consecutive field goals on the season. Hamilton also, that's 4 straight wins for them. Hamilton is, between Hamilton and Calgary, kind of now flipping the script this year. I think the playoffs, at this, I know we're still early, it's 7 weeks in, but things are starting to look a little different in the CFL pecking order. And boy, Hamilton's been a fun watch. I've been pleasantly surprised with Hamilton. I think Bo Levi and wide receiver Kenny Lawler, still so much fun to watch. They connected again. I believe that's 8 touchdowns now for Kenny Lawler on the season. So I would not be wanting to play the Ticats right now. I think they got BC this week, but I would not be wanting to play the Ticats at all. They're the last team I want to see. They're red hot, and I think Bo Levi is doing a pretty good job.
Yeah, I had the stat written down that Ottawa kicker Lewis Ward scored all the points for Red Blacks in the first half, 4 field goals. But you're right, he scored all the points, all 15 points the entire game. He had 1 field goal in the second half, so he did all the scoring for Ottawa.
Yeah, look, and for Ottawa, I mean, we said this last week about the Elks. I think this week the Elks were on bye. They're the only team on bye this week. What a perfect time for them to go and have that, because we've talked at length about them needing to kind of look in the mirror, address the trade forward thing, and see what their plan is going forward. Their bye couldn't have come at a better time. I'm going to say the same about Ottawa going into next week. They got a bye. You got to figure out what's going on. They've lost a lot of games that maybe could have gone their way if they just put it in the end zone instead of hitting field goals. Because I liked this team that first week of the season. I saw some fight and some grit, even though they lost. And since then, it has been not great football to watch. They have been a team that it's been a lot of shoulda, coulda, wouldas. And here they are at 1-6, one of the worst teams in the league other than the Elks. So they got to figure their stuff out.
Yep. All right, let's take a look at the standings after Week 7 in the CFL. In the East Division, it's the Hamilton Tiger Cats and Montreal Alouettes at 4-2, Toronto Argonauts at 1-5, and the Ottawa Red Blacks at 1-6. In the West Division, it's the Calgary Stampeders and Saskatchewan Roughriders at 5-1, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers at 3-2, BC Lions at 3-4, and the Edmonton Elks at 1-4. Now, looking ahead to next week, Week 8 on Thursday, it's going to be Montreal at Calgary. That's going to be on CBS Sportsnet here in the States. Friday, it's Edmonton at Saskatchewan. That's only going to be on CFL Plus. Don't be afraid to pull out your laptop and log into that, because it's a great streaming service, and the coverage is great. It's exactly what you would see on TV.
There's no paywall.
And no paywall, yeah. Totally free. You just got to sign up one time, and you're good for the whole season. Let's see. Saturday is going to be Winnipeg at Toronto. That game's going to be on CBS Sportsnet. And on Sunday, it's Hamilton at BC. That's only going to be on CFL Plus. And Ottawa is the team on bye this coming week. All right.
Yeah, Montreal-Calgary game's looking like that'll be a fun one to check out Thursday night for sure.
Yeah.
That's everything else makes me a little nervous.
All right. Anything else before we close the show?
I got nothing. I think we kind of glossed over the fact that was it Saskatchewan running back. The guy who got hurt, he was with the Argonauts last year. Guy we really liked here.
Oh, yes.
Dean Carey.
Yes,
Dean Carey went down with a scary injury.
Yes.
I was really bummed to see that. I mean, I was bummed to see him go to Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
First off, and to see him go down with that gruesome injury, and I know like on the broadcast they didn't. I think they showed it. I don't even know if they slowed it down at all. I didn't see a replay of what exactly happened, at least to the degree that they were like, we're not going to show that again. So I hope he's all right. I saw he kind of limped off. So hopefully, it's not too bad, but you hate to see that kind of stuff.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all for this week. Tune in again next week when Adam and I will review all the games played up north of the border. We'll be here throughout the CFL regular season, as well as the postseason, and the 112th Grey Cup game in Winnipeg on November 16th. You can check out highlights of all the games in the CFL each week at cfl.ca/videos. If you need help picking out a team to follow this season, we can help you with that. You might be surprised at just how much fun this league can be if you watch it every week. Get invested in a team and the players and find out who all these guys are and where they came from. A lot of guys from U.S. schools, so maybe a school that you like.
A lot of great announcing too. I love, man. Nothing's better than when you can watch 2 of the 4 games and you get the same announcer twice, and he's awesome. So
Yep. If you have any questions about the CFL, you can ask us in the comments. If we don't know the answers, we've got friends up in Canada who probably do, and we'll get you the answer.
If you know the deal with the watermelon, let us know, because we're still learning too.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that was a new one on me, but I learned about it while I was researching the stuff for today's games. All right, remember, folks, some people may love football more than we do, but nobody, and I mean nobody, loves more football than Adam and I sitting here in Kalamazoo talking about the Canadian Football League. Until next time, I'm Randy Snow.
And I'm Adam Snow. Hi, how you doing, everybody?
And we'll see you all next week somewhere around the 55-yard line.